I always believed our marriage was a partnership built on trust, respect, and years of shared memories. My wife. Jessica had always been vibrant, charming, and fiercely independent. Her laughter could light up a room, and I loved her for it. But nothing could have prepared me for the day I realized she had chosen someone else. It began subtly. Small changes in her behavior, whispers of secrecy, and an unusual attachment to her phone. At first, I dismissed them. Work, stress, fatigue, minor distractions. But over time, these little cracks widened into chasms I couldn't ignore. Jessica seemed distant, distracted, and unusually evasive. She was no longer the partner I had known. Her focus had shifted, and I knew instinctively that it wasn't me who held her attention anymore. I, Matthew, had always prided myself on patience and calm reasoning. I managed a small tech consultancy, balancing clients, deadlines, and long hours with precision. Jessica ran her own boutique, marketing firm full of late nights and client meetings. Our lives were busy but synchronized until I sensed her priorities shifting, and my intuition screamed that someone else had moved into the space I once occupied in her heart. The revelation came in a message I accidentally glimpsed on her phone, a casual, flirty exchange with a man named Ryan. The familiarity, the innuendos, and the ease of their conversation hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't a fleeting crush. This was a choice. She had chosen another man. I stared at the screen for a long moment, feeling a mixture of anger, disbelief, and a sharp clarity. That night, I didn't confront her. I didn't yell, argue, or plead. Instead, I planned. If she thought she could treat our marriage lightly, that she could juggle loyalty and desire without consequence, she was about to learn a lesson she wouldn't forget. Betrayal, I had realized, isn't just painful. It's a call to action, and I intended to respond decisively. The next few days were a careful dance. I observed Jessica closely, noting her patterns, her secretive calls, and the subtle ways she tried to maintain normalcy while hiding her connection with Ryan. She believed she could have both, our marriage and the excitement of another man. She thought I wouldn't notice, or worse, that I would accept it. But I had learned that betrayal is never subtle to the one who pays attention. I didn't act impulsively. Instead, I planned with precision. I began by confirming everything, texts, call logs, and fleeting glimpses of meetings. Every fragment reinforced what I already knew. Jessica had moved her heart, if not yet, her life, to another man. And I realized then that the only way to regain control was to create a moment of undeniable clarity, a consequence she could not ignore or explain away. The opportunity came that weekend. Jessica planned to leave the house under the guise of a work errand, but it was clear where she was really going. I calmly prepared. There would be no shouting, no scenes, just a single action, decisive and final, that would make her understand the cost of her choices. When she returned, the tension was already palpable. I stood by the door, calm and composed, and simply locked it. No words, no pleading, no confrontation. The click of the lock echoed louder than any argument ever could. Jessica froze, eyes wide with disbelief as the reality sank in. She couldn't enter the home she had shared with me for years. The very space she had taken for granted was now a symbol of accountability. Her face went through a rapid sequence: confusion, panic, realization, and then regret. Ryan was irrelevant now. The thrill of her secret had evaporated in the stark clarity of her own actions. I didn't gloat, though. I didn't need to. The silence, the locked door, and the undeniable truth did all the work. For the first time, Jessica understood exactly what her choice had cost her. Not just me, but the trust, respect, and sanctuary of the life we had built together. By the end of the evening, it was clear the power had shifted. I had regained control of my life, my home, and my dignity. The betrayal had been hers, but the response, measured, precise, and undeniable, was entirely mine. The morning after, the house was silent except for the faint hum of the city outside. Jessica sat on the porch, steps, phone in hand, clearly realizing that no amount of excuses or pleading would open the door she had just been shut out of. I didn't rush to her. I didn't lecture or yell. I let her face the consequence of her actions fully, giving her the space to understand what she had lost: the trust, respect, and shared life that she had once taken for granted. I reflected on everything that had led to this point, the subtle signs I had noticed, the lies hidden behind her charm, the moments where she thought she could outmaneuver me. All of it culminated in this single decisive act. Betrayal, as painful as it is, exposes not just the flaws of the other, but the strengths we often overlook in ourselves. I realized that standing firm, acting deliberately, and reclaiming my dignity was far more powerful than any argument or confrontation could have been. By mid-afternoon, Jessica attempted to contact me repeatedly. Each call and message reminded her that the space between us was no longer negotiable. I ignored them all. My life, my home, and my choices were mine alone, and I intended to keep them that way. Ryan's name no longer held power. Jessica's thrill had dissolved in the weight of accountability. She had chosen another man over our marriage, and the reality of that decision now faced her, unfiltered. In the following days, I began the slow process of moving forward. I didn't dwell on anger or resentment. Instead, I focused on clarity, self-respect, and building a life free from deception. The betrayal had been painful, but it also served as a harsh lesson, one that reinforced the importance of boundaries, honesty, and unwavering self-worth. I had lost a wife, but I had regained control over my life and my dignity. That night, as the city lights flickered through the windows, I walked through my home alone and felt a profound sense of peace. Betrayal had exposed the truth, but I had emerged stronger, wiser, and unshaken. Jessica's regret was now hers to bear, and I was free to step into the next chapter of my life with clarity, strength, and unwavering resolve. The lesson was simple, yet powerful. No one has the right to compromise your worth. And sometimes the most decisive action is letting the door close and walking forward.